Good evening and welcome to Metro Focus. I'm Rafael P. Roman. Long Island residents have had enough of the loud noise coming from airplanes constantly flying over their homes. That, according to a pair of state lawmakers who say their offices have recently been flooded with complaints about the noise and have introduced a bill in the state legislature to address the issue. Joining us now is one of the co-authors of that bill, Assemblywoman Judy Griffin, whose Long Island district is impacted by the air traffic. Assemblywoman Griffin, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
So, Assemblywoman, you have said that this excessive daily noise of air traffic is, quote, a nuisance that has continued unabated for decades. So if it has lasted for decades, why this legislation now? What has triggered it?
Well, I think judging from the amount of complaints that we get on a regular basis, it's people who have lived in this area. I mean, you live close to an airport, you can expect some noise.
Sure.
But the problem is there are people that have lived there for 30 years, 20 years, and only maybe in the last 5 to 10 years have there been a higher frequency, have there been more planes, maybe it's some of it is low flying cargo planes that create more noise as well. So it's a problem that has really gotten out of hand now. And there is a certain decibel level that airplane noise should stay under. And what we do know is it definitely at periods of the day, it is higher. And we have constituents. There was one man living in Lynbrook where his whole house shakes from the vibration. And there are people, they cannot sleep, so they're sleep deprived. People feeling sick. Like there's all kinds of there's such a big impact that this does make. And why we want this legislation is we want an accurate study done that really reflects the accurate level of noise. So what we've had so far is they average the noise. So if a plane exceeds the decibel level, let's say in the morning, then maybe at 2 o'clock, there's a plane that doesn't exceed it. So they put that all in, and then they have an average for the day, and conveniently they can say, oh, this meets the standards. It's not going above the decibel noise. So why we want the legislation, I have introducing it in the Assembly, and Jim Gorin is introducing it in the Senate. Why we want this legislation, why we feel it's important, is we want a study that accurately measures the noise level, and then that way we have something to go with. It's a starting point for the federal government to maybe make changes.
So the legislation, let me get this right, the legislation is simply asking for a study of the noise levels, correct?
Yes. So far, there's a lot of support for it. There's a lot of neighboring districts. I'm in Assembly District 21, which runs from Freeport to the edge of the edge of Valley Stream. And so it includes part of Valley Stream, part of Malvern, part of Lynbrook, and part of Rockville Center, all of Rockville Center, but all of that is very much affected by the noise. So, but then there's neighboring districts that also have the noise, these high noise levels. And a lot of those assembly members and state senators will also be on these two bills in both the Assembly and the Senate. So there is a lot of interest. There's a lot of bipartisan interest. I'm hopeful that it can advance. And, I know in my district, where I represent all of Malvern, all of Lynbrook, those areas are really, depending on where you live, are really impacted by the noise level. And although I represent part of Valley Stream, Valley Stream is hit very hard by the noise level. I only represent a small part of Hewlett, but the 5 towns, of course, is affected. And there's other areas on Long Island that are affected by the noise level as well. Jim Gorin is up on the North Shore, but there's his area is also impacted because of the way they reroute planes and such, that there are various areas on Long Island that may not be as close to an airport, but they're still getting the noise.
Right. If you live in New York, chances are you're going to be living near an airport. And the airports that you're talking about specifically are LaGuardia and JFK, right?
Yes. And it seems like around the southwestern shore of Nassau County, it seems like we have much more of the planes leaving JFK that is presenting the issues.
So, Assemblywoman, we keep referring to this as a nuisance, but you believe that it's more than a nuisance, that it's a health hazard. What kind of health hazard are we talking about?
Well, if the decibel level is over what there's a decibel level that they consider to be, it can't pass that level. So once the noise level is being passed, you're disturbing babies, you're disturbing elderly, you're disturbing anyone. And if you're waking people up in the middle of the night and they can't get back to sleep, that's an issue. Not getting enough sleep is a major health issue. Much illness is caused just simply by not getting enough sleep. And the aggravation, feeling nervous, all of that is included. But in addition to that, if the planes are flying at lower levels, there's also an impact on your airways. And so there's a lot of children. There's been measures done where children have higher levels of asthma in areas where there's a lot of low-lying plains and all. So it's also an issue for that. But just dealing with the noise alone, it has created, a great deal of anxiety for many of these homes where people live with this chronic noise ongoing every day. Yeah. And so for that does become a health issue, especially when it's above the level. It's a nuisance if it's just noisy, but then when it's above the accepted level, then it's even worse, and then that really is going to seriously impact your health, and even to animals as well. Right.
So Assemblywoman, as you mentioned, air traffic is under federal jurisdiction. So even if your bill passes and the study is conducted, what can it really do to change things?
Well, I think it's important if we have a study that shows there is a significant issue here. And if there is a significant issue and that can be proven with the study, then we can ask for the federal government to come in and make some adjustments and make some changes. With the existing study, because there have been studies done, but it's just the average. So now no one has to do anything because they can say, oh, it doesn't exceed the decibel levels. So it's just going to be a starting point if we can actually wholeheartedly have a study that proves what we all know to be true.
What's the timeline we're looking at here? Could this bill become a law?
Well, if this bill becomes a law this session, then we would look to do the study, and I think it would be probably the study would take place in 2020, and so somewhere in that time frame. So I hope that we can have the bill advanced this session, and then if it didn't advance this session, we would reintroduce it next session. So hopefully it would advance this session. We could do the study, and then at least have that information ready.
All right. Well, Assemblywoman Griffin, thank you so much for joining us today to talk about this.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.